We have a guest in the studio, third guest for the hour, for the day, and his name is Tim Kipchumba. Tim Kipchumba is very many things. He's an author, he's a mentor, he's an entrepreneur, he is... What else are you, Tim?
A dad.
Those ones have to come in. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a sibling.
He said he's a father. He didn't say he's a husband.
See,
No, that too.
I'm adding everything else.
No. He has to tell us himself.
You can assume.
Don't assume for him and he's here. Yes.
So,
No,
a father, go on. Husband,
Yeah. Well, a son of this country.
Oh, but,
a taxpayer. Do you pay tax? Are you a taxpayer?
Taxes.
Are you a voter?
Are you a child of the Heavenly King?
Yes.
And keep going.
All these
Yeah, I
things
mean.
we have to talk about. Tim, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you.
So, now, just tell us exactly all these things that you've talked about. When you say that you're an entrepreneur, what exactly do you do in entrepreneurship?
Okay. So, well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Tim Kipchumba. I was born in Elgeyo Marakwet County. Right now, I'm an entrepreneur. I run a company called Questworks, which is the company award-winning construction engineering solar company. We are probably known for having built the largest solar plants in the country. 98 megawatts spread across 600 acres back in cases near Eldoret. But we've also done sustainable buildings. So if you've been to Strathmore University, we built all the Strathmore University buildings. We've done other projects that have won Green Award. As the future is, we really think that as the continent and the continent of Africa grows, we're going to be needing to build sustainable green buildings that are energy efficient, buildings that will have less carbon footprint.
Tim, I like what you're saying. I just don't understand it. Yes.
The carbon of the foot.
All that. The food carbon footprint, that I have an idea what it means. But
The solar is
Green building
solar I even know because it has to do with the sun. That I've gotten. Okay? But now this building.
that is green.
It's
green.
Hey, you've got it. It's green. It's eco-friendly. It's a building. So what is it that you do with it? What do you build with it? What do you
You paint it
include in it?
green?
So that is all these things that you're saying.
So for sure, we don't paint it green. Yes. But we design the buildings to require less energy. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
So
First of all, how does a building have more energy than it needs so
So-
that now yours has less? Well, how does that work?
interesting.
Yes.
So it turns out 40% of our energy spent globally, energy. So meaning it's actually lighting and generally building use. So buildings can consume a lot of energy, whether it's in air conditioning, whether it's in lighting, whether it's in
Heating.
eating. Thankfully, in tropical part of this world, we don't need all that. But then there are ways you can design the buildings for them to be energy efficient. So imagine if you design the building east facing, then it's a problem because it's facing the sun. So ideally, you don't want it.
But the way a building is, it faces everywhere.
I know.
Yes. So
Where you have the chance to,
Yes.
you shouldn't have, because then you have that effect. So if you have the sun hitting the building from east to west, now you need air conditioning. Now you need to do shields. If you use your shears or your curtains, now you need light. If you need light, you consume even more energy. So but then like you can use glass, you can do different orientation. You can use technologies like evaporative cooling, instead of traditional air conditioning. So evaporative cooling costs less, 5 times less than
Air conditioning.
Than air conditioning in energy. What is it? So you displace air. Okay, so you pump cold air from outside. Okay, and then the cold air displaces the warm air out, and then that creates a natural effect of cooling, as opposed to constantly pumping in cold air, which consumes so much energy.
So you've done this thing at...
So we've done this in Strathmore. We help to do. Another one simpler one, very simple, which we did for Vivo Energy. Black cotton soil. You find black cotton soil. What do people do? They dig like crazy, yeah,
Yes.
until they find hard rock.
Yes.
And then what do? They carry the soil and they do cutaway.
Yes.
Now the problem with that is that you need energy to dig. That's a lot of fuel, and then you need to transport that
The
soil,
black cotton.
and then you need to get an infill. which is also costly for the country. Now, what we did for Viva Energy, we introduced a new technology called post-tension technology on slab. Now, post-tension is just very simple. It's just steel. So traditionally, the way steel bridges were used to be built, you use steel to suspend, to carry all that weight.
Yes.
If you've seen in some of these movies. Okay. Now we applied that on the, and then we only dig less than 500 mm, and the building is just floating on that, because now you spread the weight across.
And the foundation is this steel structure.
Yes.
And
So steel and cement, you tension the steel. We call it post-tension because you cast the concrete, kokoto, yeah? And then after that, a few days later, 7 days later, you come and tense the concrete. You stress it. Now it's threatening to go up. Because it's threatening to go up, this steel, which is stronger, holds it back.
Hold it back.
And that's what, and now because you're spreading across the whole slab, all that weight is distributed.
But is it cost effective?
Extremely. It's actually probably 50% less than traditional construction.
Than digging all the way and cutting away the black cotton.
Because you see, I'm asking this because where I come from, it's black cotton soil. That thing moves.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Just keep shifting.
Yes, and you'll build your house, it starts cracking for you, as
That's
you
true.
see.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
That's why what he's saying
is
is of interest
resonating.
to me, yes. Because I may need to rebuild that house again.
Hopefully not. Yeah. Hopefully not.
No, it isn't cracked yet.
But you've seen from elsewhere.
If it rains, black cotton soil retains water, my friend.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Slides.
And yes, it's good for planting things. For buildings, it's tricky.
These big issues.
Yes. So you're saying that when you put this foundation that you've spoken of, and it costs 50% less than the traditional one, so thereafter, do you just use the normal building materials to go up?
You're free to do anything. This is just for the slab.
Yes.
This is just for the slab
But
alone.
if you wanted to continue this eco-friendly approach to things,
what else could you do?
yeah, precisely. See, you are even a mind reader. Yes.
No, so then you could consider, materials that are local.
Yes.
As much local material as possible is a good thing. Because if you have to transport things from around the world, that's just more carbon footprint. Okay.
There's something that I've always found particularly interesting with regard to solar lighting, solar power.
Yes.
Why is it that despite the fact that we've had solar power for decades,
3 decades, 4 decades.
yes, it's been there for the longest time.
Yeah.
Why is it that whenever one speaks of solar power, the efficiency that it brings about is not correlated with the cost? Why is it that it's not as cheap as it could be, given that the sun is free?
Good question. The answer is simple. 1970s, solar was already being used to send rockets to the moon. The problem is that until about 10 years ago, it wasn't completely commercially viable.
Why?
No, cost. So it was extremely costly. Since we installed the first solar system to get a PPA, Power Purchase Agreement at Strathmore University, solar has fallen by 3 times. Just that few years, 2015. Cost of solar.
Why has that
I
happened?
understand now why. So there have been significant advances in solar technology that have made it really, really, really possible for it to be affordable now. We have maybe 23% efficiency for the most advanced panel, which we call polycrystalline panel, but it doesn't really matter. So you can squeeze about 21% of the energy from the sun. So meaning the sun hits that panel, you can only extract 21%. So it's not a lot, but it's decent. What is extremely amazing with solar is that it's the most abundant resource globally.
Yeah.
Like the most abundant of the most abundant. Yeah. So if you draw cycles, everything is a dot as compared to solar. So it's a good thing to actually have it. But then we've also had advances in inverter technology. So if you think of solar, it's very simple. Panels on the roof, okay, to receive the sun, and then the earth, they call the inverter, which converts the current that comes called direct current into AC current. Alternating current is what we use to charge the phone, to charge, basically to live normal life, we use AC. Yeah, that's. Now, So there have been advances in inverter technology. There have been advances in panel technology. There have also been significant availability of capital funding. Today in Nairobi, you probably could get companies that can raise that have a little more than $500 million, like a lot of money chasing projects. Now, I know why. Let me answer your question. Why is it that it always looks like it's expensive? It looks like it's expensive for ordinary residential people like you and I. Why? Because you have to add one more component, which is called batteries. Now, once you add batteries are fallen back in the advancement of technology. Okay, so they are more expensive.
Why?
No, it's just. But there's a lot of change now.
Okay, let me ask the question. We just pause there with a just. What is it in the battery that could actually make it cost less? What is it that could be used in the manufacture of battery that would produce the output that we expect and yet make it more efficient and not as costly?
Yeah. So where we've seen massive success, so that I can come back to answering your question, where we've seen massive success is where you don't need to store the energy.
Yes.
If you need to store the energy, it's a problem. But there are other ways you can store energy. If you just pump, if you get solar from the energy and you're using it to pump water, that's a form of storage.
Yeah.
So the water takes that energy, but you're using it real time.
Yeah.
So if you are in a building like Standard Group, there's absolutely no reason why you should not do solar, because all this
You're lighting,
you're powering all these advanced technology equipment. Yeah, that's okay. So anyone that has a use case for during the day, fantastic. The problem is at night. Now we have to store energy, and lithium is still a problem. Cadmium is a problem. So like there are now advancements that are coming up, and that said, even where we are today, over the last 5 years, is already 10% of the cost it was 10 years ago. But it's still not affordable enough for an ordinary person to actually pay. I mean, that said, if you buy your battery system today, you're probably looking at maybe 6-year, 7-year payback as a household. Let's say 7-year payback as a household. But the problem with that is that when you're communicating to people, they go like, but I don't want to pay my electricity 7 years in advance, especially if you're just if you're not just buying it for the green benefits. But for companies, it's 2 years payback. For companies, for factories that are using the power during the day, within 2 years it pays back.
Let me throw in a little conspiracy here. Conspiracy theory. I find my conversations are never complete unless I throw one in. And I'm going to ask the question. You're right. Solar came into being, one started hearing of it in the 70s. I know this because I was in primary school in the 1970s and I started hearing of solar power. The question is, who has owned the patent of solar energy for the longest time? There are those, again, pure conspiracy, who have argued that it was the oil industry who owned it. Theory, I said, conspiracy. Now, solar presented direct competition to the oil industry. Direct. Theory, conspiracy. If indeed they were the ones who had a big say in it, why would they advance the technology? Let me explain why I'm saying this. I look at the advancement of this little gadget here called a telephone. I look at the advancement of something even smaller than this, called a microchip. You mentioned lithium. Now, I look at the advancements in communication and how quickly it has moved. There's a direct correlation between that movement and the money that can be made from it and the vastness and the diversity that it represents. Now, solar would benefit us on this continent in the tropics tremendously.
You think oil companies are slowing us down intentionally?
My friend, that arithmetic.
Conspiracy.
I have given up. I said it's conspiracy because I look at the advancement right now of electrical cars, okay, and how quickly that has come in and the push towards. All I'm saying is, if you look at the speed with which technology moves, okay, and getting to it is far more difficult than solar, which is so readily available. You see what I'm asking? Why is it?
No, actually, to be fair, it's about time. We've already reached what they call grid parity. We've actually, like, one of the fastest advancement that you can ever think of is solar. I mean,
Is
you,
it
right
really?
now, you have inverters that can monitor every single panel.
Fine, they can.
Okay. Right now, you have maybe, the only thing is we actually have material science, advancement that can generate 40% more energy from the sun. The problem is they are not commercially viable and they are not good for the earth. If you go out mining them, cadmium and all these minerals, you actually generate
you're
more
causing
damage
more
than
damage to
that.
the earth.
So there are advancements that can generate nearly double the capacity that solar can produce. It's just that they are not commercially viable, and that's the same thing for lithium. Or not rather storage generally. Storage, a broad range of storage technologies available. Is that we've seen significant advances. The problem is the commercialization. That takes a little bit of time because it requires one more thing, demand. The more people buy solar, which we are now beginning to see, it's astounding. I mean, South Africa last year did maybe 100 megawatts, yeah, per annum. They've already done, I think they're approaching 2 gigawatts now. As a country, the whole of last year, we probably did 30, 40. Okay? So, but as the continent picks up and everyone likes solar, and you like solar, and we go to, every company starts to use solar, there's something that happens now. You have now more profit going back to R&D. Because R&D, I mean, research and development budget is a function of how much free cash flow are people willing to set aside, saying that the future, based on the promise of future cash flows in the future.
Yeah.
But that's it's happening a lot, and it's an exciting time actually to be.
We're heading there.
Yeah.
That's just part of you, QuestWorks, that has taken up
That much time.
this much time. You'll tell us about your author journey through authoring and also the work that you do. Particularly that work that you do actually is of greater importance to me. The mentorship
Yes.
that you do across the country, and especially what you've done in your home county, giving back to your county of Elgeyo Marakwet and looking at what Elgeyo Marakwet then needs also going forward. Tim Kipchumba is a father, is an entrepreneur, is a husband, is a founder of a company called QuestWorks, is also an author, is a mentor, and is a son of Elgeyo Marakwet County. He's our guest this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Continues with the son of Elgeyo Marakwet, Tim Kipchumba, who's here with us in the studio. He's a founder of QuestWorks, he's an author, he's also a mentor. Why did you get into the journey of mentoring? What inspired it?
Good question. Really good question. So we're in Form 4 in Chebara High School. Chebara is
Chebara is next to Chebara. Is it in the
No,
Chebarba?
Chebara is in Nandi, but Chebara is in Elgeyo Marakwet. It's the place that is actually supplying all the water for Eldoret town. So we are in Form 4. A young girl who was in university at the time, I just got in a first class honors, came to speak to us. She was called Penina. Penina gave us a talk, one of those talks, and then, we hadn't seen that lady that successful. And she'd got a first class honors. She was already doing a master's. She was preparing to do, she had plans to do a PhD. So she spoke to us about the world that was possible if we worked hard at school, if we, and then she told us the story of Ben Carson. But, in advantage, she encouraged us to think and dream more. For the first time that year, we had the highest number of students go to university.
All right, from that school.
Yes, and I got an A minus. I ended up winning a scholarship to Strathmore University. I come to Strathmore University, I get completely scandalized because, coming from Marakwet, you come from Marakwet, those holidays, I hadn't seen ladies in trousers. Seeing someone like you was astounding, because the only girls that would wear trousers those days were the ones that walked in a pub. So it was like an abomination. But anyway, so I get through, I come to Strathmore, and it's crazy because, people are crazy. So all the ladies are wearing trousers. People are announcing that they are going to the bathroom. I'm like, those things you never say. And, I really got astounded. And then I tried to vie for class rep, and it was even terrible because, I wore which I realize now was a big mistake, a green trouser, yellow flowered shirt, and a yellow jacket. And of course, I didn't get voted in. I didn't really quite look like them. So I tried to fit in Strathmore. I didn't quite fit in. But then something really happened, yeah? I started to work really hard. I started to get better at calculus, so I would teach my friends. the first term, I did really well. I got a first class. I mean, I was a dean's list. So I started to feel like, oh, maybe, just maybe, by working hard, I might be able to even if I don't fit in, I might just be able to get by. So we finish. I go to I go through Strathmore. On the final year, I made a decision that I will take these friends of mine that were laughing at my accent to Elgeyo Marakwet County. So we organized with Rotary Club, my area of member of parliament at the time, Honorable Lina J.P. Kilimo, a couple of people. I think I raised 127,000 shillings. And the idea was very simple, a trip to inspire. Okay? So I'll take my classmates, bus full of them, show them Elgeyo Marakwet County, make sure that they eat good food there, they smell the fresh air. We do a nice, decent road trip. They would be cooked for, and then they would actually, the only thing I needed from them in return is that they would just mentor the kids. When I come back, we realized, oh my goodness, we're not going to be able to do this the whole time. So that's how we ended up with my co-author, Rosemary, writing a book. So we wrote the first book, which is called Unstoppable, Achieving Excellence in High School and Beyond. If you wanted to think about it, it's just, the way to think about it is just a guide for high school students. If you had a mentee today and they go to high school, the introductory guide is our book. And it's done really well. Like it's, I think it's been read by over 300,000 students, mostly because a number of foundations like Equity and all these people patronized it, so they kept buying a couple of copies. But then, so we began our company a couple of years later, 2012, got so busy with it that I never got to do that. And then I just started realizing I'm losing my spirit and my soul. So 2016, I meet my governor, the former governor, coming out of the gym, and he says, listen, what can you do for the county? I'm like, okay, let me not waste this opportunity. At the time, he was with, I think, Mandago. And so I tell him, listen, why don't we organize the largest experiential mentorship program in the county? That was April 20th, 20-something. By June 6th, we descended in the county. He wasn't prepared for us. We took, 60, 70 mentors, mentoring about 7,000 students. And our format was very simple with Mentorton. It's called Mentorton, which is Mentorship Marathon. It's very simple. It's just, let's just get people like you to tell your stories. From where you were in high school, the decisions you made, what has made all the difference for you, the mistakes you made, until where you are. And that's really turned out to be really well. I mean, it was popular with the mentors. Initially, I thought I might struggle getting mentors, but it turns out that we couldn't even accept enough mentors.
How did you access the mentors? What was it that you required of them beyond volunteering?
So it's just, initially the first group, it was just vetting people that I would know, that we would know that they are of good character. Okay.
It didn't matter where they came from.
No, it didn't matter. Of course, we had a bias to say, okay, since we were doing Elgeyo Marakwet County, we did like Kipchumba, as much as possible. At least 50-60% of the mentors would be people that would be at least thought of as, because if I take only Latif alone, I take you alone, they go like, but
don't we have people who...
No, not just that, just that. They actually like it, but they're like, but that is them. Marakwet, Elgeyo Marakwet, we have our own problems. So you always want to remove that excuse, yeah? So what we would do is we would do a combination.
So you have somebody from outside Elgeyo
so
Marakwet.
we would have all the... If a member of parliament came, would come and attended all 8, or anyone came, they wouldn't talk politics. It would just be telling their own stories. Because I really firmly believe that the way to poison a nation is to poison its stories. But the other thing is that we already know, we have empirical data and empirical research that shows, one of them is a post-election violence research that we led at Strathmore University. I was the team leader. We interviewed young people that participated in post-election violence, asking them, what is it that basically asking this question. Asking this question, what is it that made these young people move from being non-violent to being violent? And then collecting so much data, and we got an American university to help us crunch the data. All sorts of sophisticated statistical tools, Bayesian modeling, BBN, all that stuff that is Monte Carlo simulation, for instance. Monte Carlo simulation allows you to take 1,500 data set and then remove the noise and then spill it over to say 10,000, so that you have a decent sample. we found out, we found out several factors that can predict the likelihood of a young person in Kenya today becoming violent by 91%. Several factors.
For the indicators.
Yeah. But one of them, just one, could predict the likelihood of a young person becoming violent by 49%. Guess what it is.
No, I'm not going to guess. I'm going to wait for you to tell me.
Poverty.
Poverty. That's
Well, good guess, not the right one. You have to try. You have to try. If you were in school in 1970, you probably noticed. You have to try.
I was in primary school in part of it, and then I was in secondary school in the 1970s.
You're not aging at all.
So a guess. Hazard a guess, City.
Guess.
There's no wrong answer here.
What?
Student.
You do know that I was a teacher once upon
Of
a time.
course.
So
I have to remind you what you used to tell us.
This reverse psychology on me
It's not going to work.
There's no wrong answer.
I'll tell you what I think it
Yeah,
is.
it might be. Yeah.
Fear.
A little. You're close. The right word, the right technical term is called self-efficacy. But let's reduce it to self-efficacy is the link between effort and belief. I mean, the link between effort and what you want in life. If a young person believes that, if they believe that their own effort can get them what they want in life, they were 49% less likely to be violent, which is really impressive, because what has happened in the last decade is because of entrepreneurship, because of betting, because of all sorts of things. That belief has now been eroded even more. People actually don't believe that their own effort can get them what they want in life. And so if we really wanted to reverse violence, to create gainful employment, if we wanted to actually bring peace, if we wanted to bring prosperity for the country, one of the things we must work on is the self-belief of the young people of this country.
That
Because
your
the
effort
median
will
age-
translate to something.
Yes, but the only way to do that is to do it practically, is to create a legislative agenda to make sure that we are telling positive stories about the country. We are actually constantly working to increase the odds that a young person can actually get what they want in life if they actually work hard. Increasingly right now in Kenya, because the opportunities have shrunk because of the performance of the last 10-year government, we've seen despair. Despair even from the top. I think the most famous is, you know, when the president of the country says, "Oh my goodness, what do you want me to do?" Like, you can't have that resignation in the country, because when you have that resignation in the country, people are like, "Okay, what do we do?" No, it's crazy. It's even better to lie. But then there is an opportunity. There is a real opportunity, I think, in this coming decade, especially with this with this ASLA government, to see if we can actually help meet the aspiration of young people. And we cannot meet them, honestly, just by mentorship will be one of them. The other one is creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, so that you have
Okay.
several quest works.
Can I jump in there?
Yes.
Because I think when we say that, the question is then, how can that happen? Show the mentoring, and then you're in several sessions of mentorship. And I mean, having been through mentorship, you come out and you're inspired. On that day, Tim, you feel great.
But the
Somebody
following
has-
day,
somebody has said something to you and think, oh, fantastic, I'm walking on clouds. I can actually do this. But guess what? You go to bed, you wake up the next morning, and then it hits you like a ton of
Reality.
bricks, and you're like, so this inspiration, do I eat it?
Can I jump?
What are these things that
Can
can
I jump
actually
on-
Can I
jump
also
in?
jump on the jump you've just jumped?
jump ahead?
Okay. You know, sometimes just getting a starting point is the problem.
Yes.
If someone can make you feel that there is hope and that tomorrow need not be as dreary as you thought, I don't think you can get a better start than that, because then you remove someone from that depressive state that they were slowly and most surely getting into. And with that hopeful frame of mind, you're more likely to see opportunities and to take them when they present themselves than if you were of the other persuasion, because an opportunity can slap you in the face if you're in a depressive state and you won't see it.
Now, these opportunities that we're talking about, I think is what Tim was alluding to here. Now, working with government of the day and say, look, we're going to create an enabling environment to then match this newfound hope to these opportunities that will slap you in the face. And that's
Shortening
what I'm
the
asking.
Exactly.
Exactly.
No,
Shortening that distance.
Let
That's
me
what
jump
I'm
on
saying.
this slap again.
And so now the question is,
what are those?
thank you.
Yeah. No, I think we have an opportunity. I mean, this government at this is I mean, they wrote the only hope, Asla government, the only hope was young people and more generally Aslas. And I think they have a really exciting opportunity. I mean, Asla Fund, 50 billion, may not necessarily cure. Maybe, I did quick numbers, maybe 100,000 jobs per annum.
Maybe.
Okay. 100,000.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Which is not a bad thing because, okay, that's already a tenth of the young people that we are generating, but it's still a tenth. The other one that I really, really think that will be fantastic is the MSME and cooperative development, because if you can get more people to be gainfully employed in the industries that can make us competitive, agriculture, food, manufacturing a little bit, value addition, I think that will be exciting because then you can have a significant multiplier effect. But the one that I really would like to see if I ever serve in this government, stake my life on, is diaspora. It's not really diaspora. I don't want to call it diaspora. I'm calling it power. Presidential Overseas Workers Employment Response. Today, our foreign remittances is $4 billion, just about. It's a fraction.
Per annum.
It's a fraction. It's a tenth of what Philippines is enjoying today. But Philippines' strategy was extremely deliberate. They created a full legislative agenda to just make sure remember, there are 1,700 universities. You have 1,700 universities, you will going to have a rebellion in the country because everyone will have a master's and a PhD, and they will have diplomas and they will be skilled and they won't have anything to do. So what did they do? Export. Today, they receive what? $40 billion per annum. In foreign remittances.
Only.
$40 billion. 40 billion is what? Close to 5 trillion.
From
Kenyan
educated Filipinos working
only
abroad.
And you know what they do mostly? Nannies. Around the globe.
Yes.
Nannies around the globe.
Au pair.
They have masters in early childhood development, earning 3 times the salary they would earn as teachers or lecturers in Philippines. To begin with. Nigeria, last year, their revenues exceeded revenues from foreign remittances exceeded revenues from oil.
Right.
True.
Fantastic. Like, that's really good news. Now, let me pair this with the real opportunity that I see. We have 6 to 9 million young Kenyans today in Kenya. There is just not amount of enough local opportunity we can create for them. Just not enough, because you have a pent-up demand of 6 to 8 to 9 million, and then you have growing 900 to a million per annum. So, meaning, as the government, if they don't do anything between now and the end of 10 years, you're going to have what? 10 million young people unemployed, plus the 9 million or so. So that's already 19 million.
Yep.
It's enough to ban the country.
Yep.
But there's an exciting opportunity. Imagine President William Ruto decides today, we're going to send 1 million young people out of the country. And I tell you, there are opportunities. Canada today has a shortage of 1 million workers as we speak. Right now, 32,000 truck drivers. Because Canada relies heavily on Northern America. So they actually pay their truck drivers more than they pay their pilots. Right? Not completely accurate, but they are paid reasonably well. Okay? They are paid reasonably well. Italy, they lost 25% of their health force during COVID.
Yes.
Today, UK government just set up a committee to urgently recruit 100,000 nurses from Kenya. What's the problem? We don't have a system to actually make sure we can send
our nurses
to
the UK.
Our people to America. I have a friend of mine that runs a nursing home in the US, 6 nursing homes. You become very, very, very senior in the US, 60, 70 years, you need to go to a nursing home if you don't have family taking care of you most of the time. And you pay $10,000 per month. Guess how much the nurses are making? $3,000, $4,000. Not so bad. But then the problem is, we need to make sure that they can pass the entrance exam.
Yeah.
The only place you can sit on the exam is South Africa or India. So I think that there is a real opportunity to create a government administration, a legislative agenda to match the excess demand in skilled labor in our market with the worker shortage in first world countries. I mean, I've not even told you about Asia. The number of Kenyans that are in Asia. So it's the opportunity of our decade. Now let me paint the picture for you if we manage to succeed. If we send 1 million young people today, or It doesn't need to be young people. It could be anyone out of the
A
country.
million Kenyans.
A million Kenyans out of the
Those
country.
whom we have in abundance are the young ones.
Exactly. And the
Yes.
median age of the country is young. So if we send a million young people, guess what will happen? They will probably send us maybe what, $100 per month from next year? So that's $1,000. That's already $1 billion. We've already
From
grown
those
our
a million
remittances.
people, yeah.
We've already grown our remittances by 25% more.
Yep.
Now, guess what will happen? If they are as adventurous as you are, all good voices, like Kenyans, we are good ingenuity. We actually melt more. We speak better English. Guess what will happen? They're gonna marry there. They're gonna have friends there, and they will talk about their country. Especially, we can make the country better.
Yep.
We actually work towards making the country better and brand the country better. They're going to bring their girlfriends, they're going to bring their boyfriends, they're going to bring their kids. Then next year, they will have 3 million visitors. Guess what will happen now? The airport at JKI won't be enough. Now we need to build a bigger airport because our airport can only handle a million visitors a
That's a
day.
year.
Now, 3 million Kenyans returning home is already what? They come on holiday, maybe each of them spend $1,000 per person, so 100,000 shillings per person. That's already what? That's already 400 billion Kenya shillings that can just come from tourism. The way to grow tourism is to actually send our people out of the country and they speak about Kenya. Is to make the country, and the opportunities are just
There are many.
like they are
So, Tim,
endless and amazing. Yeah.
You've even come up with an acronym for it. You call it POWER and all this. You have friends in government, right? People from Elgeyo Marakwet County, like your namesake,
My friend, Kipchumba Murkomen.
Kipchumba Murkomen, who is the current senator, and others. Have you had a conversation with them? Have
Yes,
you
yes.
had a sit down with President William
Absolutely.
Ruto?
But which is why I want to play my role.
What role do you want to
I
play?
want to play my role advocating for this opportunity. I want to play my role, hopefully, when the opportunity comes, potentially, to push for a legislative agenda to make this possible. Remember, if we're sending 1 million people out of this country, 1 million young people out of this country, we're going to need to process 3,000 passports per day. You're not going to have them queuing in Nyayo. You need a dedicated line for them.
Yeah.
We need a dedicated line at the airport just for that. And Philippines have done that. They have dedicated overseas lounges, overseas workers lounges. They have a dedicated bank called OFP, Overseas Filipino Bank. Like, you have to be deliberate about it. I mean, the ambassadors cannot just be asleep. The ambassadors actually have to have a quota. Because if you're getting
Of the
a
kind
million,
of jobs that they are
if you're
securing
getting a
for
million,
Kenyans.
most likely 800,000 of those jobs have to come from 10 ambassadors. Then you're
Yeah.
giving an ambassador
A quarter.
a job, telling them, listen, we need these opportunities. The opportunities will come this way, this way, this way. And then they now have to do, if you are a Canadian ambassador to Canada, you have to worry about bringing the Federation of Canadian Employers to Kenya. Say, come and meet our people. Come and see our land. Listen to them. Speak to employers in Kenya. Let them give you feedback. And then when they go back home, we tell them, okay, now we want 100,000 from Canada. But that requires that the foreign affairs actually changes. Because if it doesn't change, we are in trouble. Because we need a whole full machinery. You need foreign affairs, you need the Ministry of Diaspora.
So do we need
Ministry of
a
Youth,
law for this?
We need law.
So we need law
You
for
need
this.
laws. You need to legislate. You need strong intergovernmental collaboration, because now you're gonna have foreign affairs. You don't want the overseas workers being treated, and people are like, they are not ours.
Yep.
So you need the Ministry of Diaspora that is now being newly formed, already embedded. You probably even need to change, the financial system, just to allow, because they cannot be explaining. If they are sons of this country, they cannot be
They shouldn't be
explaining what
saying
the source of their money
How
is.
they got the money that they are sending back home.
And then we need other things. We need welfare for them. I mean, in Philippines, they are very aggressive. They actually considered modern day heroes. In the olden days, heroes were people that would go out there to hunt, bring cattle and return it back home. Today, the real warriors for this country are
those that
people
are
that
going
are
out.
that are paying their taxes, and especially if they are braving new lands, places where they don't have family support, they don't have their culture, they are going out of their comfort zone, and in return, we get many more things. We get friends of this country, we get forex, we get foreign remittances. So I think that's really the opportunity of this decade.
Many opportunities. Sim, President William Ruto is due to announce his cabinet
Anytime soon.
His principal secretaries, chief administrative secretaries, which are still illegal in the way they are being done, but also that's not the point. As he does that, and we see how his structure of government is, and whether you've seen any opportunity, you'll be coming And let's talk about this. Let's talk about how best the Ruto administration
Good.
can make sure that we actually get out the full potential of our
Power.
I love it. That's this is
Keep coming
this is
back.
a true conversation for this decade.
That is a
It's
very
the
good.
opportunity of our young people. When I met President Obama in 2016, he said something that really struck with me. He said, the greatest challenge in Africa in the next decade is connecting young people with opportunities.
And that's true. Tim Kipchumba is an author. He's a mentor. He's a founder of a company called Questworks. He is also somebody who's very, very passionate, as you've heard, about the country and about his people, where he's come from, Elgeyo Marakwet County.